Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. This is gonna be a weird video today, but I felt compelled to make this just because, oh man, I've referenced it so many times now that I feel like it's about time I finally make a video based on it because there's too much comedy gold potential. So for a long time we've told the whisper joke on the show, and every single time we make jokes about it, inevitably, whether it be on the stream or in YouTube comments later, someone will comment saying, basically asking like, what's this whole whisper thing? I don't get it, because, you know, they didn't see that one obscure playthrough I did 3.5 years ago, so, you know, I just explained the joke, where basically, if you've never played the game Fable: The Lost Chapters, I did a playthrough of it in, I believe it was March of 2013, so about 3.5 years ago. I did a playthrough of Fable, and the big thing of that game is it's got like a karma system where you can do good and bad things. There's a little bit of gray area, but you know, it's, for the most part, it's just a silly fantasy game. Good actions are helping people, bad actions are like killing innocent people, you know, slaughtering people through town. It's pretty black and white on that. And at a certain point in the game, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, unfortunately, it's the nature of the joke, so tune out now if you want to, because Fable: The Lost Chapter is a really fun game. There is a character you grow up alongside called Whisper, and she's kind of your rival, but also your friend, in a little bit of like a Pokemon rival style, where like, she's lightly antagonistic to you, but in a friendly way. Now here's the problem with it. Is if you pick good quests, because early on in the game they introduce you to the karma system through having good guy quests and bad guy quests. And they're kind of two different versions of the same quest, and there are a few of these in the game. And in the first one, which is very early in the game, you can either pick to defend some farmers against some bandits that are coming to rob them, or you can side with the bandits and rob the farm. So what happens here, though, is no matter which one you pick, Whisper will take the opposite quest, and you do the mission, and then after it you have a duel with Whisper, and you have a few duels with Whisper over the course of the game. And she's pretty friendly to you the entire time, she's not really antagonistic, she even flat out says she took the job so she could get back at you, like she wants to have a fight with you basically, and this is her excuse. Now, in my playthrough, I was the good guy. Almost every single choice I did the good guy thing. So I took the quest to protect the farmers. So when I saw that Whisper took a quest to help these bandits violently rob this innocent farmer and his wife, I thought that was a little bit weird, because they're still trying to present Whisper like she's an okay character, like, oh, she's just doing it to get at you. She's helping these bandits rob these old people, and the bandits are trying to kill your character for trying to stop them. They're going to lethal force. So the whole game I'm like, I don't trust Whisper, she's insane. She isn't aware of how horrible of a thing she just did was. She's like, it's one thing when the person knows they're doing a bad thing and is just greedy like the bandits, you know, killing people for greed and stealing people for your own personal enjoyment and to have more material wealth. That's pretty awful. It's even scarier, though, when you have a person trained at the Heroes Guild who doesn't know the things they're doing are horrible. That's terrifying. So at, probably a little before the halfway point of the main plot of the game, you go to the arena. The arena is a big, well, arena where you fight through different waves of monsters, enemies, humans, things like that, and the entire thing is a battle to the death. That's what you're told from the very beginning. If you sign up to the arena, you either win the entire arena, or you die. That's how the arena works. Well, partway through it, they decide, well, let's spice things up for the crowd. We have this other person, Whisper, who also signed up. We'll have you two fight as a team for a little while against some strong enemies. So you fight as a team for a while, and after that, Jack of Blades comes out, who is like a famous ex-hero, and he comes out and says, alright, now you and Whisper fight each other to the death. And of course, Whisper protests, but you duel for a little while, and after you best her, she'll be kneeling on the ground and you're given the choice. The crowd's cheering for you to kill her, they're bloodthirsty and everything. You have the choice to either kill Whisper or walk out of the arena, where you just quit. And I chose to kill Whisper. So I killed this character, and I said in the video, you know, my reasoning is like, you know, remember the farmer thing? She's dangerous. She's dangerous to have in society. She was willing to take a job to rob people and was jovial and laughing about it entirely because she wanted to duel her rival? Are you kidding me? So yeah, I killed her because she's dangerous. You can't have her running around. She's a criminal. I had to do something. She's a violent criminal at that. And in this fantasy world of Fable, that seems to be about the appropriate punishment. So, after doing that episode 3.5 years ago, to this day, I still get the occasional comment that is basically telling me that they don't agree with my decision to kill Whisper. Now, some of these have been very polite, where they don't agree with it. We discuss it a little bit, and that's totally cool. A few of them have been mind-shatteringly smug and rude, and where they just say, your logic is flawed, and then like I try and like discuss it with them, and it's just personal insults and stuff left and right. And a lot of these people ended up deleting their comments after I responded to them back and forth a few times, so some of these are lost to time. And some of these comments are from back before the current reply system, because this was 3.5 years ago on YouTube. So if you go back to any old YouTube video and you look at the early comments, you'll notice people will clearly be talking to each other, but it won't be in a comment thread, and it won't say like at insert username here. They'll just be in some kind of rough, almost correct order, and they're clearly talking to someone. I didn't include any of those ones because unfortunately I wasn't able to find any of the originals of other people's comments. It seems like all of the ones of that type, they deleted their original comment, because in the original comment thread system, if you deleted your original comment, other people's comments would still be there in the comment thread, because the comment thread wasn't as special of a thing as it is now. Whereas now, if you make a comment, a bunch of people reply to it, and you delete your original comment, all of those replying comments are also gone. So I'm going to go through 4 comment threads that I've screenshotted. They're in order from oldest to newest of all of the ones that were critical of my decision that they didn't end up deleting. Now, multiple people talk in some of these comment threads, and I'll be doing a dramatic reading of all of it while throwing in my 2 cents. This is going to be kind of an exercise in empathy, if anything, and a little bit of insight into what it's like being a YouTuber, in that there are certain games that touch an emotional button for people for whatever reason, and sometimes they can get very aggressive about it in kind of a comical way, but it can also ruin your day if you don't have a thick enough skin about it. So it's a little bit of insight into the day-to-day grind of YouTubers. It's an exercise in empathy of remembering that some of these people who say these ridiculous things, keep in mind they're humans at the end of the day. I'm sure they're not like this in person. This is actually the reason why myself and a lot of other people I've spoken to don't do Telltale games. Like, a lot of people wanted me to do the first Walking Dead game when it came out, when it was super popular. And I watched a lot of playthroughs of it, and I really enjoyed it and everything, but I decided, despite my strong opinions on a lot of things in it, and I feel like I could do an okay commentary for it, I never did it. And the reason that I have, and the reason that some people have privately told me they have, is anytime you have moral decisions in a game, some people will get so smug and so insulting and be so awful to you in the comments about it that the YouTubers won't even make the video. And it bothers me sometimes that I decided not to do that entirely because of those comments, because a lot of people would also enjoy it, and really I should be making the show for them, not for the people who are gonna hate me over it. But for whatever reason, that's the decision that I came to. So we're gonna go through 4 comment threads. The link to the video is in the description, by the way, if you want to watch the video yourself and come to your own conclusions based on the actions. And of course, the whole playlist will be there as well if you want to see reference other moments of the playthrough that might give you a fuller idea of my perspective on it. But keep in mind, this 3.5 years ago. I'm sure a lot of opinions you're going to see in this video have changed over time. However, I believe all of these comments are within the last year or 2, just because, again, people have deleted their own comments, and the old reply system that doesn't work anymore on YouTube doesn't work anymore. Alright, so we're starting from one. It says it's 1 year ago here, but I'm fairly sure it's almost 2 years ago at this point. It's just, you know, it's probably like 1 year and 10 months or something. By the way, I just want to interject for a moment and say that, yeah, I'm probably gonna get some people who are saying, why are their usernames on screen? Is that perhaps promoting bullying? Don't bully any of these people. Don't even respond to any of these people unless you want to respond to them politely. please, we don't need any more aggression here on YouTube. We have enough of a problem with that as is. And as for privacy concerns, I mean, this is what they publicly posted on a public website with their public username and their public pictures. I don't think you can really make an argument about privacy. They publicly posted this stuff. So the first one here is from Lucas. And again, these are going from progressively best to worst. I actually like this guy. He's super polite about the whole thing. So Lucas says, I don't think Whisper deserves to die, but I should kill her too, for all the money. Which is, of course, you know, he's probably joking around or even just saying that the game mechanic of you get a lot of money through that arena. But in the quest of Orchard Farm, she didn't kill anyone. She was just taking the opposite quest to bug you. Which is true, that's what she said in it. I responded with, if she's so detached from reality that she would aid bandits in the looting of a farm simply to stick it to me, she was too dangerous to keep alive. The only thing she does is that she wants to be better than you and beat you, because you beat her 2 times before. Which is true, that is her motivation, it seems like. I responded with, and she's willing to loot innocent people to do that? I stand by my decision. Lucas brings up a good point. Shouldn't you have to kill Twinblade too then? He killed innocent people too. So for people who haven't played the game, by that point in the game, you've already gone to Twinblade's camp. They're the ones who looted and pillaged and burned your town that you grew up in the beginning of the game. They killed your father, they kidnapped your mother and your sister. So that was a pretty big deal. When you meet Twinblade eventually, though, after getting through his bandit cap, he's not nearly as evil as he originally seemed, although he's clearly done horrible things in the past. And in fact, your sister is a seer working for Twinblade. At the end of your fight with Twinblade, he surrenders and gives up a life of banditry. And you have the choice of either walking away and letting him live, or executing him, kind of paralleling what later happens in the game with Whisper. At the time, I decided, he's retired, I'm not in the business of revenge. If he's not a threat anymore, I let him walk, and you never hear from him again. Now, of course, in that moment, as a character, you wouldn't know whether you'd ever hear from him again. But considering how your sister trusts him, and considering how he presents himself, I didn't get the impression he was lying. Now, 2016 me? I think maybe I would have killed him. I'm not so confident on that decision anymore to let him live, but I can kinda see it. Anyway though, I responded with, Twinblade wasn't delusional. If he quit, he quit. He isn't a problem anymore. I don't care about revenge. Whisper was actively a threat to those around her. Which I think is a point that still holds up, but Lucas never responded to that, so that was the end of that discussion, but it was a perfectly polite one. So we're on the next one. This is the first one that is slightly annoying. However, it doesn't get really truly horrible until the next thread. So Volkir says, your logic for killing Whisper is extremely flawed. Now I want to point out here, you'll notice in this thread here, I responded, and he never responded. So he just says, it's extremely flawed. I say, how? And I give an explanation. Nothing. He's so convinced it's flawed, but he won't tell me why. I responded with, how? She signed up for the arena, a place where every battle is a battle to the death. She knew that if she lost, she would die. She signed away her life. What is illogical about her dying due to that? She was willing to aid bandits in the looting of a farmstead and the murder of the farmers just to show me up. That's sociopathic behavior. What's illogical about branding her as a threat when she's willing to murder innocents and act like it's a game? This isn't Twinblade. Whisper didn't have a sane head on her shoulders, nor did Whisper retire from combat. She was an active threat to innocent people, and she signed up for a battle to the death in the arena. It'd be ridiculous to let her live. Another person here called Keshel comes and saying the logic is strong with this one. This person seems to be agreeing with me. I respond with, I get a kick out of how this guy says that my logic is extremely flawed, likes his own comment, and is completely unable to explain who is flawed. I actually meant to type how it's flawed, but I'm an idiot. And by the way, that whole like his own comment thing is because I have emails turned on for every comment I get, so I responded to his comment within a minute of it going up, and I already had 1 like on it. He totally just liked his own comment. A lot of people unfortunately do that when they feel like they're a moral crusader. The rest of these comments here by Keshel, you can pause and read them if you want to, but it's just talking about other game mechanics and whatnot. Let's go into the first really bad thread that the person never ended up deleting. This is a long one, folks. Magicow says, I don't really think Whisper deserves to die. She was basically a rival to push you forward to do better just like you pushed her. She didn't even kill any innocents, and as far as we've seen anyone in general, unlike you who's killed many even though it was in self-defense, she just wanted to live up to her big brother's reputation, which was pretty hard for her because he's very famous, and on top of that, some nobody from a farm town, aka you, overshadows her every move. She did do some bad things, but a lot of heroes do that stuff. She was actually very average for a hero who wanted wealth and power. She wasn't really bad, and was just the same as every other evil hero. And I know this is a very old series, but I needed to say that. So I want to point out for a second, that original comment, I don't think that's very bad. Like, again, they were totally polite and everything, and they just stated their opinion. That's cool. It's later in the thread is when it gets bad. I respond with, so attempted murder is okay as long as they didn't succeed? Because, yeah, she attempted to rob and murder people. And I don't think that it's really a defense that he said is the same as every other evil hero. He actually said the same, but I think he meant the same. I don't think saying it's the same as other evil heroes is a very good defense, because the word hero in this game doesn't mean good guy or bad guy. Hero just means that they were trained in the Heroes Academy. It's basically, it trains you to be a warrior, ranger, and fighter. You're supposed to be a champion of the people, but you can also be a villain. There are villains within the Heroes Guild. Magicow, though, responds with, she never really attempted to murder anyone. She challenged you to a duel and stuff, but she really only wants to prove that she wasn't a disappointment. During the Orchard Farm quest, she didn't attack anyone but you, and in the area, she said that she couldn't kill you, but she was gonna put on a show. And murder doesn't make a hero an outlaw so long as it's through the guild. Many heroes are actually very horrible, but they don't necessarily deserve to die for taking those quests. I want to interject here and just say, a lot of the heroes are horrible, but legally they're technically not an outlaw because they're in the Heroes Guild? If they're doing these horrible things like murder, do they not deserve to die? In this fantasy world, it seems like that's how it is. If you murder someone, the guards try and murder you, but okay. That is really all she did, was take quests to get under your skin, which makes sense because you made her seem obsolete even though she was at the guild longer than you. She never really planned any horrible massacres or anything, and was less of a bandit than Twinblade, and you spared him. If Twinblade had an annoying voice and a horrible backstory, would you have killed him? I don't think that Whisper had an annoying voice and a horrible backstory. I don't know why you would assume that. Think on that, and then think that he killed thousands, and Whisper maybe a few hundred. You killed more people than she will in this game, and yes, it was in self-defense, but how's Whisper any different from you? You never see her kill innocent people, and the Orchard Farm quest wasn't to kill the farmer, only to take the stones. She really is a lot better than Twinblade in many ways, and yet you chose to kill her but not him. So you can see here it gets a little bit moral crusade-y near the end. But believe me, this thread's not horrible yet. I responded with, she took a signed guild quest to aid bandits in murdering and robbing a pair of elderly farmers. Just because she failed doesn't mean it wasn't attempted murder and robbery. And Twinblade retired. I have zero interest in revenge. He was no longer a threat, so he no longer needed to die. And again, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that anymore, but this is my rationale at least 6 months ago. Whisper, on the other hand, was proven to be an active threat to those around her due to being willing to take quests that involved robbing and killing innocents just to get to me. And she signed up for the arena, full well knowing from the start that the rules are that it's a battle to the death. Magicow responded with, Twinblade left the guild and became a bandit, and therefore broke the law. Whisper just took quests to get money, which a lot of heroes do. She didn't take the quest to kill anyone either, it was just to get stones. Many heroes would have contemplated which one to take. She just as much a bandit as every other hero. I never took one where I robbed people, and you're saying that everyone in the Heroes Guild is a bandit and thus it's okay what she did? What the fuck? The farmer didn't even want the stones anyway. If you don't want the thing, it's okay to rob them. The farmer didn't want it anyway, and that's why it was okay to rob him, even though the farmer was the one who put in the quest to save his farmstead, and he and his wife hid in his house for their own safety during the robbery. But the farmer didn't want them. What? Also, you went to the arena boasting that you were gonna kill everyone you met, even though matches between heroes are only to the death if the hero decides to. As far as I remember, there's not a single moment in the game when any character in any way implies that the arena is not a battle to the death unless decided upon if heroes are involved. If anyone can point to a point in the game when it says that, then I'll eat my hat. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember that ever being brought up. So really, you did the exact same thing she did, except you actually killed her. She was a very average hero who wanted to pick on the person who messed up her life. I didn't mess up her life. I respond with, now you've changed your argument from she isn't dangerous to, well, I think you're worse. That has nothing to do with my decision. And you can see here, I kind of just cut to the point here. There's a lot I could have debated with him on there, which is why I interjected so much and talked to you about where I think the logical flaws were there. But really, it doesn't have anything to do with my argument. Again, he changed his argument from she isn't dangerous to, well, I think you're worse. Whether or not he thinks that my character has done worse things, that has nothing to do with how she has done bad things. Magicow says, she's less dangerous than you are, but yes, she is dangerous. Every hero is dangerous. Look at Jack of Blades. The thing he's best known for is a massacre, and yet people celebrate him. In contrast to the regular people, all heroes are dangerous. They are trained to fight by some of the best warriors ever. Whisper was just as much of a danger as any other hero. She picked a quest card and did the job. Again, this is horrible. He's just justifying that this character did this awful thing. I'm not saying Magicow is horrible as a person, because that's ridiculous. I'm saying he's justifying this video game character doing this horrible thing in this video game. Keep this in perspective, everybody. This is just a video game, of course. I'm not making any judgments on these people as people. But I want to point out, Jack of Blades, he says here, he's best known for a massacre, and yet people celebrate him. He wasn't known for a massacre. That's actually a spoiler, is that he spearheaded a massacre. That's a secret. Everyone just thinks he's a hero in the world, and that's why they celebrate Jack of Blades. And yeah, he used to be a hero at the place, but it's like I said, it went from she isn't dangerous to what I think is worse. Now he's doubling down and saying she's super dangerous, but they're all dangerous, so it's okay that she robbed and tried to murder people. I responded with, quote, every hero is dangerous, end quote. I'll put it this way. Not once in this playthrough did I attempt, make a signed agreement, or even conspire in any way to inconvenience, harm, or commit a wrongful act upon an innocent person. I killed many people. Nearly every single one who attempted to attack me first was otherwise clearly an outlaw, criminal, or directly working for the forces of evil. Whisper agreed to work with and aid murderers and bandits in the looting of a farmhouse, just in an attempt to show me up. That's sociopathic behavior and extremely dangerous. You can debate all you want what she would have done if I had failed, since the game never shows us that scenario. But I'm going 100% based off what the game has shown us, and it's that she is detached from human empathy and knows how to kill people. If she deserves to be killed, it's all up to personal opinion and where people draw lines for themselves. I made my decision based on what I'd seen of her up till that point. I followed the rules of the arena and killed her just like I killed every other bandit in the same episode. So here's actually a part where I have to interject. You'll see I have 2 comments in a row, and that's because he actually ended up deleting one of his comments. And judging by the one after it, I think it's because he realized the flaw in his logic in that one comment. But basically, and I do remember this, mostly based on reading my head comment and knowing what I said, basically what he said to defend her and say that she's not evil is that despite how he just agreed that she does horrible things time after time after time, he then said, well, if you had taken the bad guy quest, she would have taken the good guy quest. To which I, of course, respond by saying, but yeah, I can't make decisions based on what happened in an alternate reality, right? Anyway, I responded with, if I took the evil one, she'd have taken the good one. However, she didn't. That's not the way things went. My character can't make judgments based on things that didn't happen, and I made those decisions in character. Magicow responds with, I see your point and I do not mean to come across as angry or aggressive, nor did I mean to be annoying. I just see Whisper as a person who is overshadowed by her bog brother, he means big of course, and some random kid from a farm town that Maze picked up. She did some bad things, but many heroes do, and she didn't take a quest to hurt anyone, just to mess with you. Which seems bad, but it was more like a rival trying to beat you in Pokemon. She just wanted to prove that she was worthy of being a hero like her brother. She is more of a product of a horrible upbringing from a brother who was a great hero. She only ever wanted to be a hero like so many. Whisper is just another hero trying to build a name for herself. So I didn't respond to that one because, I mean, he's right on all of that. I agree on all that. She clearly doesn't have bad intentions, but she's doing horrible actions is the thing. And someone who thinks they're morally justified in doing horrible things like, again, robbing and murdering people, it's sociopathy. She cannot empathize with these people. In the instance of she signed up her life to the arena and it's a battle to the death, I killed her. I'm sure that is the backstory of countless of the bandits that were killed in the very same arena fight. Yes, she didn't have bad intentions, but that didn't stop her from having horrible, horrible actions. Remember that everybody is the hero of their own story. Nobody thinks they're the bad guy. When it comes to something as serious as murder and robbery, I think we need to look at their actions first of all. Here's where the thread gets really horrible though, is when Lichlord comes in. Lichlord says, flaw, enter, enter. Just want to take a moment. The smug. When you're just, flaw, enter, enter. And now I'll type my paragraph. The first thing he has to come out with is this like, weird undertone insult kind of thing. Man, can you imagine how fast you'd deck someone if they pulled this shit in person? I try my best to talk to people in comments how I would in person, cause it's a lot more polite than most conversations on the internet. But come on, man. Flaw. It's just so dramatic. He continues to say, the quest never actually said anything about killing anyone. It was only to help the bandits get the stones. If anything, having a hero there to stop them from unnecessarily killing people would be a good thing. If in a challenge with another hero to see who's stronger, then even better to push their limits. I responded with, and helping bandits rob people without specifically stating to kill them makes it okay? Lichlord responds, no, but until now the argument has been that Whisper was a bad person because she was helping them kill people, which she wasn't, and that she was irresponsible because of that. When my argument is that by having Whisper as a stabilizing element of sorts, she was actually saving lives. Items can be replaced, people can't. I want to point out here, the argument to this point hasn't been just that she tried to kill people. If you don't agree that she tried to kill people, I can make a pretty strong case that she did, but there's no denying that she tried to rob them, and that she aided the bandits. I responded with, she, in absolutely no way, was a stabilizing element. She worked with bandits during a robbery. If she had chosen not to do that, the farmers would be in less danger. It's not like I was gonna kill the farmers and she stopped me. If you genuinely think that her taking a quest to help bandits rob farmers saves lives, please explain how. Lichlord responds, I was not implying that you would harm the farmers, but the bandits? Yes, they absolutely would, but with Whisper there actively stopping them, they would not attack the farmers for halting them. Parentheses, the reason for the quest in the first place, end parentheses. As it would go against her personality. She's rude, proud, and generally a nuisance to your character, yes, but she would not let the bandits kill innocent farmers to let her win her competition, as that wouldn't be fair and would do the opposite of what she wants to impress her big brother. I'm not saying that she did not make a bad decision, or went about things the right way, but she also didn't do the worst things she possibly could do. I don't even need to interject here, I think my counterpoint brings it all up. I responded with, there is no point in the quest where Whisper tries to stop the bandits from harming anyone. You're just assuming she would, yet that never happens in the game. Your point has no basis in reality. Yeah, there's literally nothing you can do in the entire game that will get Whisper to stop the bandits when she takes the quest to help the bandits. He's saying, like, she's there as a stabilizing force because she could stop them from hurting the villagers. Yeah, but she never did that. She didn't... I don't know what else to say. She didn't do that. There's nothing you can do in the game that makes her do that. Nothing. That's not a thing that's in the video game. You can argue till you're blue in the face that it's against her personality that she would let bandits hurt her farmers, but apparently it's within her personality to take a quest to rob farmers. Lich Lord responds with, we're talking about a fictional setting, and even then, using the logic of, we didn't see her so we can't say what she did or didn't do, she is still innocent of trying to cause harm to the farmers, as the only time we see her in that quest is at the beginning and end, and the duel after all of the attacking bandits are dead. At that point, she was less helping the bandits and more passively watching you all gut it out, then trying to see if she could beat you when you were fatigued, since she couldn't when you were fully rested. If she did help the bandits, it was probably something like, quote, no, yeah, that way you've been going for the past few days is in fact the right way to accomplish your goals. Also, well yes, I am assuming, it makes sense from what we're given on her personality. Why would she do something evil when the older brother that she looks up to would frown on it? Almost everything she does is an attempt to do something boast-worthy to impress her brother. I don't even know what to say. It's still just appealing to her personality when I have plenty of reason to think that her personality is she's crazy. And he's also just assuming a whole bunch of stuff about her not helping the bandits. Why do we have any reason to believe she wasn't helping them? We saw her with them and she took the quest to help them. You can't just not do a Heroes Guild quest after you take it. That's not how the Heroes Guild works. I respond with, all you're doing is theorizing on stuff that we have no way of proving. I've already proven that she took a signed quest in the Guild of Heroes to help bandits rob innocent people. You can't prove any of the stuff that you're trying to claim. You flat out admit that you're just assuming things. I'm going by what the game showed us, and the game showed us that she's a dangerous sociopath. Lich Lord responded with, the game also showed us that the Guild of Heroes puts out quests specifically to help bandits and help criminals into their ranks. I responded with, you literally just supported my point that Whisper's a criminal. Lich Lord responds, no, I just made my point that she took a quest in the guild does not make her a good or bad person. Her having a written paid contract to help bandits rob innocent people does not make her a bad person, because the Heroes Guild allowed her to take that mercenary contract. Again, I remind you, the Heroes Guild is not good guys. The Heroes Guild is warriors, mages, rangers, assassins, thieves, is just a training ground. They do not morally judge you. You can be a hero or a villain. They just call all of them heroes. That's the name for them. You were trying to say that the guild would frown on her actions because it was the Heroes Guild, but it's not. I never said that. I never said that the Heroes Guild would frown on her actions. I said her actions are terrible because she's hurting people. He can't even represent my argument. He doesn't know what my argument is. This is why I say it's ridiculous when people get so emotional about these video games, because they can't represent your argument properly anymore because they don't understand your argument. They're so emotionally invested that they're not reading what you're saying anymore. They're not taking it to heart. They're not understanding your side of the argument. They just want to be right and want you to be wrong. It's like politics at this point. Like, I'm not being listened to. Why am I responding? It's more like unusually capable person in a world of incapable people guild. Your character has done illegal things too, breaking in and out of a prison, killing guards, and freeing convicted criminals. And by definition, you're also a criminal, yet you're okay and she isn't. You also claim that most, or all, of the rest of the guild is incompetent compared to you. But that's just it, compared to you. You're the hero, the one who is the best, because the game says you are. This conversation's been getting a little more heated, so let's agree to disagree, and leave it at that since I apparently can't convince you and you won't convince me. I always find it a little insulting when they say, I can't convince you and you can't convince me, because that's kind of insulting to me. You're kind of acting like, I will not be convinced, I am so morally invested in my own thing. That's insulting. Like, You're saying that I'm not reasonable enough to understand what you're saying? Is that what you're implying? Because that's what it sounds like, and I hope that's not the intention. I responded with, and yet no counterpoint to this one. I think there's a pretty massive difference between willingly agreeing to aid the robbery of innocent people just to get back at someone who you think of as your rival, and trying to escape false imprisonment by guards of an illegal jail run by the realm's Lord of Evil. If you don't know, there's a point in the game when you're thrown in jail for like 10 years. It's an illegally run jail out in the middle of like this evil undead graveyard forest really far away from civilization that is literally run by prison guards who are directly working for the Lord of Evil. And he said that me breaking out of there and killing the evil minions on my way out is a crime. I didn't know that escaping false imprisonment by the game's equivalent of Satan was a crime. That makes me as bad as someone who robs farmers for money? What? And Matt Darling with the amazing final comment of the thread, she tried to raid a farm. I just love that we have this big debate about all this stuff. Matt Darling comes out. He's the true hero of this thread. The man coming in with reason where he's like, she tried to raid a farm. And really, it's not any more complicated than that. Thanks, Matt. I agree with you. I did waste too much time on this, and now I'm wasting even more on it, but I hope you're getting a laugh out of it in the comments section. So lastly, this is a comment thread that happened today. And it's the one that finally made me decide, you know what, this is ridiculous. I've been making jokes about, I'm the Whisper Killer. I've been making jokes about it for years. The chat and the comment sections on my streams and videos make jokes about it where they're like, well, we all know you're a bad person, MDB, because you killed Whisper. We make jokes about it constantly to this day. I mean, there are a bunch of joke comments even in the video's thread of whenever I talk about this, people will go back to that video and just be like, you killed her because she's black, didn't you? And I'm like, shit, you found me out. I'm actually a racist. And we just play along with it at this point because it's so funny. But this one today is the worst one I've ever gotten in terms of just smug and emotional, and it's so angry. I thought, you know what? Comedy goldmine, let's have some fun with it. John Shepard says, first off, the quest to attack Orchard Farm wasn't about harming farmers and his wife. Lady Grey hired people to get the stones out of the barn for her because she wanted them for herself. So no, Whisper wasn't going to attack innocents. The most she could be accused of doing was assisting in theft. So no, you have no moral justification for killing her. If you find her annoying, own it, and stop making excuses for killing her off. I'll be making decisions I'd make in real life indeed. So you can already see right from the beginning, he's implying insults at me about me as a human being because of my line where I said I'd be making decisions I'd make in real life. Well, yeah, real life, if I lived in this fantasy world, like, laws are different in this fantasy world. We can't 100% one-to-one compare modern day laws with this world. I mean, you can't one-to-one compare modern day laws with how a lot of life worked in history even, because it's a different world, it's a different context. If I were in that world, would I have killed her? Yes, but that's not saying that I would kill someone in real life in that instance. Not necessarily, no. Probably not, in fact. I mean, unless I'm in the incredibly fantastic thing of being in an arena battle to the death environment. Like, again, this environment that this happened in is so detached from reality, it's very hard to have any point of reference, honestly. But I do want to point out he just tried to say that the worst thing she did was assist in theft, and so you have no moral justification for killing her in the arena that she signed up for a battle to the death in. What? I responded with, how is that me making excuses for finding her annoying? It's me making a decision. If anything, you assuming I'm just making an excuse makes me think that you're making an excuse to act high and mighty to me. In the context of being in that world and only having two choices, to kill her or to walk out, I'd kill her. She's a violent criminal and she joined up to the arena, a place where you're flat out told from the start that every battle is to the death. You either win the arena or you die. She knew what she was in for joining up. I don't see you trying to defend the killing of the bandits through the game. Well, Whisper worked with them. John Shepard responds with, there's logic. Kill the violent criminal that had the intention of robbing stones from a barn. Not just intention. She tried to. She carried out the act. She just failed. But let the guy who is killed, raped, pillaged, and in fact, his horde was responsible for the raid on Oakvale that resulted in your father's death. But hey, he's not as violent or as deadly as that violent criminal Whisper. First of all, the game gives us no implication whatsoever that there was any rape. I just want to say he assumed that. There is no rape in this game. Looting and pillaging, absolutely, and killing, yes, absolutely. I'm not saying at all that Twin Blade and his bandits didn't do horrible things. I simply defended him by saying that I don't know if I would still do that nowadays, choose for him to live, but he retired and was no longer a threat anymore, and I'm not personally in the business of revenge. And keep in mind, you say he killed your father. Yeah, well, your sister also trusts Twin Blade, and she was kidnapped by him and says to you that he's not as awful a person as he seems. And she's like a hyper-intelligent farseer. She can literally see the future, and she's telling me to spare Twin Blade. The person who can tell you the future is telling you to spare Twin Blade. Gonna go ahead and say you might want to spare Twin Blade on that one. And let's not forget the fact that you, after accusing Whisper of being a violent criminal, deserving of death, you married someone guilty of fratricide. So really, you've shown that you really don't care about who does what and when, and that's a result of your actions, not assumptions. No, that is assumptions you're making about me as a human. That's completely ridiculous. You don't agree with me on some decisions, and so you feel like you can decide that I as a human do not make decisions based on what's actually going on? I don't care what people do or when? No, a disagreement in opinion on actions I did in this video game does not mean that you have proof as a result of my actions that I make decisions that have nothing to do with people's actions, with what people do. That's ridiculous. And this is why I say these people get so emotional, and it's crazy. And yes, she did voluntarily join the arena, smug grin face. Just like those merchants intentionally walked into the dark forest. I mean, by that logic, someone should go kill them too. After all, they deserve to die for walking into a place where people die every day. It's a hero's job after all. I know the smug is making you hate everything too. Don't worry, I address this. And don't mind the fact that Whisper or the bandits both implied they don't have any intention of killing you before fighting. That's not important. The bandits who were with Whisper attacked me first. It doesn't matter if they implied they have no intention of hurting me. They attacked me first, as well as city guards who were trying to protect the farmers. As I said, if you don't like Whisper, just own it. But trying to justify killing this extremely non-violent woman makes you look hypocritical at best and outright malevolent at worst. You're calling me an evil human being because of my decision in this game. Also, you're saying she is an extremely non-violent woman? She challenges you to, I believe, 4 duels over the course of the game. She kills countless hobbits, which are weird little monsters in this game. They are actually quite evil. But she kills countless of them. That's violent. It's not necessarily bad, but it's violent. She also signs up to the fucking arena and slaughters animals and people in the arena. But she's extremely non-violent. Again, do you see why I don't think you can always reason with these people? They get so emotional. Which, if you were playing an evil character, you wouldn't hear a peep from me, but yeah, your reasoning is ridiculous. Everyone take a deep breath, get all zen, shanti, and all of that, because this is the last comment of the video. Thankfully, this is the newest comment. I posted this one, and I decided I'm gonna go make this video. Maybe he's responded by now, I don't know. At the time of making this video, he hasn't responded yet. He probably will. I think I'm just gonna leave it here, though. I responded with, I can't believe you're being so emotional to actually misrepresent what I said in other episodes. Dude, this is a video game. 1. I let Twin Blade leave because he wasn't a danger anymore. Whisper was actively dangerous. Personally, I might reconsider how I handled the twin blade situation at this years later, but I still don't go back on how I handled Whisper. 2. You've been insulting me since the start of this conversation. Again, this is a fictional choice in a fictional game I played years ago. If your points are good enough to stand up on their own, present them without insulting the person you're talking to. 3. I didn't marry the mayor because she had some people killed. I want to take a second to point out, I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure you don't find out that Lady Grey killed anyone until after you marry her. I could just be misremembering though. I believe I even explained in that video I married her so I could get the final silver key for the sake of completing it for the Let's Play. You're just so hell-bent on making me look like a bad person for disagreeing with you over an action in a video game. The silver keys are hidden items you find throughout the entire course of the game, and every time you get one of those keys, you need a certain amount to be able to open chests in the game. Well, the only way to open the final treasure chest in the entire game is to get the final key from Lady Grey's room, which you need to marry her to do. And I said at the beginning of the Let's Play, I want to get as close to 100%ing it as you can in one playthrough, so that requires you marry Lady Grey. But again, he's willing to just say that I'm an awful person for making that decision and play that into it. So in the playthrough, I explained I only did that so I could get the keys, just so I could show you guys every single treasure chest. That's not necessarily a decision I'd make in real life. He's gotta make me look evil though to feel morally justified in saying these terrible things about me. 4. Okay, comparing someone signing up for a battle to the death with traitors having to travel through a dangerous area and implying that I think they deserve to die is just ridiculous. Someone signing up for a round of Russian roulette has to know they're likely to die and that it was on them to make that decision. That doesn't mean someone walking home at night deserves to die because of a reckless decision. That's insane. For anyone who doesn't know what Russian roulette is, it's where you take a revolver, so it has a revolving barrel of bullets, and you spin it, and you have random bullets placed in it. So sometimes when you click the trigger, it won't shoot, and sometimes when you click it, it will. And people go around the table, put it up beside their head, and click the button. So there's a random chance you may just die. That's Russian roulette. Someone signing up to Russian roulette knows there's a very good chance that they're gonna die, and they agreed to it. Much like the arena, battle to the death, you agree to do it because you get a lot of money if you survive in the end. Someone walking at home at night is a reckless and dangerous decision in certain neighborhoods like the one I live in, but it doesn't mean you deserve to get mugged or raped or killed or whatever other awful things could happen to you. That's the fault of the criminal, not you. Just like the traitors which had to get to Oakvale and the only way there was going through Darkwoods. They knew it was dangerous, that's why they hired you, a hero, to protect them. They took precautions to protect themselves because they knew they needed protection. There's no way they deserve to die. That's insane to imply that I think is okay. And remember what he said at the beginning, that I'm doing things based on what I would do in real life, taking that quote way out of context. He thinks I'm a terrible person who would just do these things in real life. That's insane. What a lack of empathy someone could have to think that about someone based on their decisions on a comedy show in a video game. Number 5, you're saying that I'm either a hypocrite or malevolent because I killed a person in a game who signed up to a battle to the death and whom was willing to rob people. I notice you never tried to defend yourself on any of the counter-arguments I made in the previous comment. You're also just acting like I'm lying to you, that I dislike Whisper for no reason, and that I'm pretending I don't. This is a video game. Why the fuck would I do that? You are being far too emotional to be rational about this. You never tried to counter a single one of my points. All you've done is make insane leaps of logic at me and then claim my logic is flawed. You can rant as much as you want, but I'm not responding until you actually attempt to counter any of my arguments without misrepresenting them. That's the end of the thread. Maybe by the time I've done this video he'll respond. I'd be shocked if he didn't respond at some point. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna bother reading it. I feel bad because I did say there to him that I would attempt to counter it as long as he tried to counter my arguments without misrepresenting them. And I feel bad because I do like the intellectual debate and everything of it. But at the same time, man, I got enough to worry about. I got a job. I should be working on more videos than just this one for you guys. And you know what? I don't think it's worth the stress this one time. I'll go into the comment section and talk to anyone about anything, but this time, you know what? I hang it up. You win. I stand by my opinions and everything, but I'm walking out of the debate. If you're watching this one, I'm walking out of the debate. You win on this one. I concede. I don't necessarily think that you're right. I still think that I'm right, but I admit that in this debate, you win. I concede. I give up. I have no interest in keeping the debate going. If anyone else would like to in the comment section, that's your choice. However, all I ask is that you be nothing but polite back, even if these people are rude to you in these comments, be nothing but polite back to them. There is no reason to keep the vitriol going and everything. The whole point of this video is not to cause some kind of big crusade. Like I said at the start, the point of this is to have a laugh at some of the dumber things, because there were some pretty dumb arguments in there from a few people. Have a laugh about it, and to give you some insight as to why a lot of YouTubers don't read their comments. Because as soon as you play a game with any kind of moral choice, for instance, you get stuff like this. And man, when you're just trying to make videos that make people smile and make people laugh, which is the majority of what I try to do on my channel here, and then you get comments like this that just bring you down, where people will call you a bad human being based on decisions you made on a comedy show in a video game, I just want you to understand that a lot of YouTubers are coming from this perspective when they decide, you know what, they're not gonna read comments anymore. Because there are a lot of really nice comments out there, but the bad ones really, really get you down. Humans have a good way of focusing on the negative rather than the positive. But if we can end on the positive, if I can make a change in the world in any way, it's that for all these really aggressive comments I get, the vast majority of comments I get, okay, well actually no, the vast majority of comments I get are people asking sub for sub, but the vast majority of comments of people who actually watched the video, they're people who just say that they had a great time watching this video, they're people laughing along with jokes in the video, they're people telling me that they want to see more of a series, or that they're just enjoying it, or thanking me for making the video, or anything like that. Those make me smile. Every single time. I love the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, before I go to the bathroom, before I brush my teeth, before I brush my hair, before anything, is I go to my computer, I open my emails, and I read all my YouTube comments I got during the night. Because I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing what people have to say, which is why I take the time to talk to people when they have an issue with me usually. Especially when it's over something where there's some kind of debate that could be had, because I know that even if they're aggressive to me, in person, in real life, they're probably not like this. Most people aren't like this in person, it's just they get carried away online and maybe they get emotionally invested and they say some ridiculous stuff. Well, in person, most people aren't like that, which is why I take the time out to talk to them, and I try not to get insulting with them. I'll admit I was a little mad from this person at the end. I just felt like, God, I don't want to have this conversation anymore. I do think I got a little bit aggressive in my first message to him, and I do apologize for that if you were to watch this. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. So people in the comment section, be excellent to each other. Don't start fights, because the YouTubers see that often, and it's what keeps them from responding to comments, is they don't want to put up with all the fights and everything that ends up happening just because random people online like getting into arguments because they feel like they need to go on some kind of moral crusade. That's it for this video, though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope this was cathartic in some way for you, and I hope it gave you some insight, and until next time, have a nice day.